Hi everyone. We're going to go ahead and do a brief overview of Chapter 4, and we're really looking at professional development and looking at professional development within the context of both leadership and within healthcare organizations. So starting out, when we're looking at leadership, have you ever worked with a leader or have been involved with a leader that was sort of stuck in their practice, that they really didn't develop or grow with the changes that occurred in healthcare? Just kind of think about that, and most of us have experienced that, and if you haven't, that's a really good thing. But just kind of think about that as you're moving forward with your own leadership development. So also take a step back and kind of consider the Future of Nursing report from the Institute of Medicine, the recommendations and the need for healthcare change, and what an integral role nursing leadership plays in the overall change of healthcare. So kind of keep those things in mind as we're talking about Chapter 4. So as you're thinking about ways to develop and learn. Think about education, aligning with mentors, continuing your education, doing journaling, doing reflection, also looking in the peer-reviewed journals to keep up with what the most up-to-date information is as far as evidence-based leadership practice. All of those things are key elements in continuing your leadership practice. And as leaders, it's really important to think beyond your area of practice as well, because as nursing leaders, it's invaluable to look at how everything fits together and how everything impacts other things. There's reactions outside one's own area of practice with changes, especially in facilities. So think about that systems approach as far as how things impact other factors within healthcare or within the organization. So just kind of key into those points and really focus on systems thinking in your book. And I believe that starts on page 68. So really take a look at that, because that's such a critical piece, understanding how everything kind of works together and ticks and ties and impacts beyond what we may actually think sometimes. So as we're moving through the chapter itself, looking at those characteristics of effective leaders is really important. And emotional intelligence is invaluable. It reflects that the leader is responsive, that they're adaptable, and they really apply their emotional intelligence in building that trust. And it's a critical factor when you're doing those crucial conversations as well, to really key into what's going on, not just the facts, but also the interaction that's occurring. So a real key factor, of course, is self-awareness. And we all have our own cultural values and beliefs and our own particular biases, but being really in tune to those things is such a critical factor when you're applying emotional intelligence, that you can keep your own maybe thoughts and values in check a little bit, and that really helps with the working with folks in especially emotionally charged situations. So just think about how much change is occurring in healthcare and how chaotic healthcare can be. Consider the leader's role in building resilience as well, and how some of the leadership styles can actually promote resilience. One example may be transformational leadership, with empowering others and really focusing on helping others to elevate their practice as well. So kind of as you're reading Chapter 4, think about the previous chapters as well. because many of the concepts that we addressed in the previous chapters, including the different styles of leadership, really kind of tick and tie as you're looking at professional development as well. Another factor that's discussed in Chapter 4 is mindfulness. And how often are you doing something and you're thinking about something else? And you may be listening to me right now and writing or being on your phone or whatever. And that's honestly things that happen. So mindfulness is that very deliberate action of really focusing on what is going on right now, and it's paying attention in a very purposeful manner. And there's great value in practicing mindfulness, and believe it or not, it does require some practice to do it, because we're so easily distracted about the million things that are going on throughout the day, and the different directions that we're being pulled in. And sometimes focusing on mindfulness actually will save us time, so to speak. When we're really focused, we can be very effective in what we do, and sometimes when we're lacking mindfulness, so to speak, we get distracted and we may make mistakes as well. So it's really important to really think about that, and take a look at your book and really enjoy that area of the book as well. So when we're looking at the overall picture, it's so important to really embrace the fact of a learning organization and professional development. So it's not just looking at checking off and being competent in certain areas. It's really a culture, and building that culture within your particular area or your organization is critical, especially since healthcare is evolving and changing at such a rapid rate that our focus really needs to be on learning and growing and progressing, rather than focusing on what has been in the past. So that learning organization is such a critical factor as we move forward in healthcare in general. So when we're looking at the whole chapter, think about the leader's role in building that culture, and think about how to embrace that culture yourself, as far as doing are making opportunities for yourself to continue to learn and grow. So if you have any questions or concerns, let me know. I'm going to move on to Chapter 5 here in just a minute. Take care now. Bye-bye.